who is in 11th edition spent 3/4 of the game in Battle Shock on the objective.
Auspex scan initiated. I'm picking up a podcast arriving. Wait. Designation. Forge the narrative.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. We are the Bell Souls podcast, joined today by Tanya Gates.
Hey, everybody.
And Adam Camilleri.
G'day, everyone.
Welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks, but we've been traveling, been bouncing around, and now we have come to you with a new edition in our hands.
All the Ones 11 edition.
Oh my God. I do want to talk about all the ones for just 1 second, but before we go any further, we did get some news today along with the rest of the world that the world is a little bit grimmer, a little bit darker, and that John Blanche has passed. And just want to pay some respects to the one that maybe didn't invent the grim dark words, but certainly invented the grim dark atmosphere that we have all come to love as Warhammer 40,000 and everything else.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know enough to know if he was given a blank slate in which to create the grim dark aesthetic that we know and love, but I've got 10 years of his artistry and his works in books from my childhood that I poured over, and it's hard to quantify the effect that guy has had, that great man has had on so many lives. So pour one out for John Blanche. We lost a great one.
Just the style in which like the pictures draw you in, like they're very much still the core of like what still hooks people to this day about this universe and this game. No matter what these could be pictures that are 40 years old, you know, that still you could see them today and you're like, I need to know more about that. And
I feel like his art style also made miniature painting a lot more approachable for a lot of people, in that they were like, hey, this guy has a very unique aesthetic, and I also can have a unique aesthetic in how I approach Warhammer. And I think that his sort of real sketchy, almost messy kind of art style really translated well into Warhammer models. And I think that he just sort of gave people permission to play within the art space. And that's something to really be admired.
Well said.
That the Blanchitsu, that used to be a segment in White Dwarf, and like he was, you know, all the stuff about there's all dioramas and the Necromunda stuff that him and his group are doing. It's like you look at it like, are they painting in the same universe as us? Like, yeah, that's like that license to do that is awesome. Wow. Well, I mean, rest in peace, Godspeed, all that. And I know touched a lot of people. And you know, again, just to really want to pay our respects on this show as well. Just how important that person was to our hobby.
Just realized I was wearing a hat. Probably have a hat off for this one. Apologies.
Well, have a quick moment of silence here, and then we'll like jump back into the show. So speaking of a bunch of ones, I don't know if y'all caught that first game of 11th on stream.
I was there.
You were, and I know we've caught a lot of grief for not being mic'd up, but I know that I went back and you and Eddie did an amazing job of like a lot of the info of what this edition got out as we were going through the paces on that game, playing against Adrian. And I'm actually going to try to have Adrian on to talk about his experience at some point too. But that game, I tried my best. The dice were not cooperating.
Well, you had some moments. This had some awesome moments. The crossover charge that ended up like showcasing all the new awesomeness of the charge roll, but then ended up going against you due to the interrupt, and then your dice rolls. That was just such a cool moment, as well as many others.
I should have fought on death there with the Ceramite Sentinels, but I was a little too caught up in the fact that I just lost the entire squad to one war boss.
Dude, he went ham.
He did. When your opponent is rolling all sixes, but also very appropriate. He was using the Gazgul dice.
Yep.
With Gazgul on the table, so you can't during the Wa turn. You can't.
Yeah, he was fully juiced. New cleave as well on the big chopper. Like what did he have? 12 attacks and he put 10 on you and you failed 7 saves. Yeah, it happens.
The power of the orcs are going to be a good starter. Somebody's going to get their hands on the orcs. Like, I'm now dedicating myself to the green tide. New box set, but it was incredibly fun and a fun day, and I'm glad we got to do that on stream and then talk to a bunch of folks. But now all the rules are out. The rules are out for everybody to look at, and I thought, what a better time to do a top five best changes in 11th edition. And this is of course going to be very definitive, the best, because we are saying it.
We hotly debated this in the green room about what the other. Sorry, Tanya, you were going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say there was a lot of. Are you sure about that?
Oh, that one. Look, really?
Number 5, hidden. Hidden is and I'll tell you why I don't believe we've ranked it higher than that, because hidden right now is one of those things that nobody has really necessarily played with yet, and it's going to take a little bit to get their head around. But one of the things that's easy to kind of gloss over when you're reading it the first time is actually model by model. It's like your whole unit is not hidden just because some models are, which could still put you in weird situations to where you are not as safe as you think you are on the tabletop.
Yeah, hidden's a weird one because when I first heard about it, and of course, some of us get notice about things a little bit earlier. I was like, "Oh my god, that's insane! That cannot exist in this game. That's going to break it." And then the more I sat with it, the more I figured it out, the more I unpacked things. And then the last thing that really did it for me was the terrain. If you want to be hidden, you have to have every model on terrain. Now, the size of the terrain pieces and the fact that things could tow on and shoot you now means that if you're on the terrain, a la the objectives, you can be seen. So you're hidden, but there is a cost. And if you look at the game that we play at the moment, outside of guard, repulsor executioners, night armies, stuff like that, a lot of the time when you shoot your opponent, you're like in that kind of 12 to 24 inch range band so often in the game at the moment, because that's just the lines of fire that we have on the maps that we play in at the moment. There's very few times you can be like, haha, 36 inches away and get a beautiful line onto a premium target. It just doesn't happen that often. And so when you look at it, like I look at so many armies that I play at the moment, like in guard especially, like even things like Kazakin. My Kazakin shoot from like 18 inches or less pretty much only, exclusively. And so they don't care about hidden. There's so many other interactions that don't really care about hidden. I mean, like Noise Marines, they operate best at 12 inches. Well, taking that's only 3 inches closer. And if you're on terrain and hidden, you can be seen. So it is a flick on, flick off approach. And it's almost like they're saying, like, now at the moment, if you're on terrain, you can just be seen from anywhere. But like, we want you to be able to be on the terrain because we made the terrain the objectives, but we need to make it so there is a point of protection for this. Otherwise, it's going to get silly.
I just think there'll be things later in the game to kind of play with detection ranges. I feel like there have to be. That's now a stat, in the game.
Yeah. I was hoping they'd give a like a 1 command point universal stratagem of increased detection range.
I've gotcha.
Yeah. Gotcha. Just throw 81 CP and just plus 6 detection range or something. But yeah, I thought that would be a cool. They didn't, but here we are. And
one of the game's still new. Game's still brand new. I don't know.
Well, one of the things I've found in my games is, sure, you go second versus Emperor's Children or Blood Angels, and they get up all in their staging points, and their whole army's hidden. And if you aren't built for that, yeah, rough day in the office. Build for it. We all have to adopt and adapt from edition to edition. Start shutting down all the brain matter usage for 10th edition and what works in 10th edition, because you're going to have to change. So start now, because it's just going to be different. Armor construction's just going to be different. Don't think what you played, the 2,000 point army you just played and went to a GT with, it's just going to, slow-mo, easy mode, green light straight into 11th, be ready to adapt. Sorry, Tanya.
But see, this is the problem that I have is, like, if you are somebody who maybe doesn't have the most money and can't just like pivot like that and just buy everything new, like, how do you approach this then?
So I actually think one of the rough things was we went from 8th edition, where everyone just kind of triple spammed the crap out of the best thing that they had and then souped. and then soup the best thing into the other best thing, and then soup, and then we went to 9th edition where the game started to look like real armies, where a 2000 point army looked like a 2. I think in 11th edition it's going to be even more like that. Like, I think the days where you needed 2 or 3 repulsor executioners in every Ultramarines list, or Rogal Dawns in guard, I think those days are gone. You're actually just going to want more guardsmen and stuff like that. So rather than you running out and having to buy $150 3 of model because it's the new big hotness battle tank or super unit like Victrix Guard, you're actually just going to want more guardsmen. You're actually just going to want more infiltrators, intercessors. And so I think it's actually, to your point, you can't just run out and go buy 100 new models. But I think the things you want to buy now are actually the cheaper models in your army, and usually the cheaper sculpts and miniatures, which I think
kind of introduce
hopefully the case.
The fact that there's we don't know the detachments and those kind of things. I think that the utility of certain things and how the mission plays, it's kind of too soon to even say what that perfect army list is going to be right now, because there's another 2 layers of play style that could still factor into things. And I think we're going to get more of that as a couple weeks.
100%. My gut check is you want to start MSU. You want to start with a little bit more MSU in your army, multiple small units. Like take 1 or 2 of your power units out of your 2000 point 10th edition list and get distributed power levels. Like, I'm thinking of just taking how many Catachans in boxes can I add to my guard army?
Chimeras.
Taurox's Chimeras, the new Hippogriff, whatever. Just some more dudes in boxes. For my Space Marines, I want to get lower to the ground again. I want to start taking 2 units of Incursors instead of 1, 2 units of Scouts instead of 1 unit of Scouts, stuff like that. Just kind of doubling up on my utility units and my little skirmish pieces. Because here's the thing, here's the thing that goes with hidden. Because when you're hidden, you're also in cover. So you're also -1 to hit when you get to within 15-inch negotiate hidden. The real battle that's changed in 10th edition to 11th edition that I've identified so far, many people have, is that usually what would happen is you'd have a skirmish game in the first 2 to 3 turns of 10th edition, and then you'd have an explosion turns either 2, 3, or 4, and one player would get ascendants or hit the hammer blow, do critical damage. Now, the skirmish game is really uncertain because the -1 to hit has made the skirmish game way more uncertain. Like when you throw out 5 swooping hawks to take care of someone's skirmish piece, that -1 to hit becomes way more impactful than the +1 save was in the skirmish wars. And so you're actually finding that it's the front end of the game that's a little bit more inconsistent, and the skirmish battle is becoming a lot more important, which I think is very exciting for a more tactical and general shit-based game.
That's interesting to see if that plays out. And I do think that -1 to hit. I know we're talking about hidden, and that's a cover rule. Being in cover is a -1 to hit, sorry, actually, let me actually go back. It's -1 ballistic skill.
Yes, and they kind of go hand in hand because you can't be hidden and not have the benefit of cover.
Well,
so they kind of,
the reason I was going is that a -1 to hit would stack with the -1 ballistic, so it becomes -2. So we might even see more significance of that.
People are already losing their minds about Fulgrim, who can just be -2 to hit now. That seems good, right? I mean, Fulgrim's been in a pretty rough spot for a while, good, and him going through walls with only -2 move, he might be cooking.
Make him a little snaky boy with -2 to hit. He's a little different animal, ain't he? Number 4 here with Battle Shock is that Battle Shock. So we've been touting for several editions now about how meaningful the morale phase is. Well, let me tell you, as someone who is in 11th edition, spent 3/4 of the game in Battle Shock on the objectives because my opponent had a simple -1 to Battle Shock with some of their units nearby. Mm-hmm. It's a meaningful morale phase. I promise you it is.
Yeah, that is something we have in common. We both got the privilege of getting our butts handed to us by the world champion of Warhammer in the back room at Dallas for 24 hours each. You're like, okay, are you done beating up on Adam? Cool, you can beat up on Paul now.
It did happen.
It did happen. We were both in the trenches getting smashed by Richard Siegler. But yeah, I think I could say with more confidence than I have the last 2 editions where they've told us morale is going to be a thing that matters. I think it kind of will matter now, especially seeing as how many ways they built in for you to be battle shocked last edition. And then they didn't matter because of the timing and stuff. Remember, there's so many ways to battle shock your opponent in your fight phase, and then you go straight into their command phase and they unbattle shock, and it meant nothing. It stopped nothing, added
enjoyed
nothing.
the benefit of that with certain. Well, you can be battle shocked. You get all these other buffs. Okay, come back around, but I guess I'm on battle shock.
Get some battle shock, bro. Like, yeah, now that it persists, I'm so keen on battle shock. In fact, I'm trying to like build little battle shock cogs into a lot of my armies. Just a little like point at, see if I can make you take a battle shock kind of a deal. I think Battleshock might become the psychological tool it was always meant to be, where it kind of is the thing that can always just mess with your opponent's plans, like their best laid plans. You just be like, take a -1 Battleshock for me on that unit of victory card.
Talk about missing primary points, which let's actually jump to the next one because I know in interest of time here is number 3 is objectives being terrain. Could be cool looking things on the tabletop.
So we went from objectives ostensibly being a 40mm puck or base with a 3-inch control radius to being like a 6x12 or whatever it is. That big, you've seen that big square in the middle. I'm not sure the dimensions. That thing is huge. Like you can be on one tip to the other tip of it.
Yeah, it's like an 8x10 or something. It's got
have a long charge. Like you actually have like above average charge to get from one tip to the other. You have all these crazy interactions associated with, like you can be inside it with a 10-person unit, and it's impossible because of the coherency change for you to stop somebody getting on that objective, which is something people used to do with gargoyles against me all the time, and all these other things. It completely changes the game. In addition, the game looks better. It just looks more better. I can't tell you how much I wanted the game to look better this edition.
As a narrative player, I cannot tell you how much it hurt to be fighting over absolutely nothing in the middle of the board. And now it's like, you can at least make a story about why you need to be in that piece of terrain to make it make sense. So from a casual narrative player, this is my biggest change for sort of just the quality of gameplay.
Same. Absolutely agree. And like I said, the fact you have to be on the terrain to get the points, but then you become visible, like all the interactions, and then they're giving you hidden so you don't just get blown up from your opponent's deployment zone. All these things I think are swirling at the moment. We'll see if they're good, bad, or otherwise. But terrain being objectives, freaking amazing. I love it so much.
I love it too. Because there's different plays in there too. It's like models doing certain things, you're wanting to do certain things, you can weave in the story like you're saying, Tanya. And also, like if you just get the footprints for the terrain, it's kind of marked out where the terrain should be on there. So you could use whatever terrain you want, and still be in the same areas if you want to, or you set up however you want. Actually, in the chapter approved mission deck that comes with the game, it just says set up the battlefield. Like you don't have to be worried about layouts and that kind of crap. You still build it the way you want to and go from that. But because as long as you do it, it's kind of symmetrical. You can look however you want.
As long as it's even. Yeah.
But that's me talking from a from a competitive side of play. Just make it look how you want. But if you have the footprints, it kind of tells you where the line of sight blocking stuff should be on there, and you can make that line of sight blocking stuff be whatever you want. No longer just ruins. It could be trees, desert dunes. It's good times. Number 2, the consolidate rule.
This goes with number 3. So in 10th edition, for better or for worse, a lot of the time when you were charging, piling in, fighting, consolidating, you can't. The term was you felt like you were on rails, like you were on a ride. You didn't have much agency. You declared where you were going to charge, you rolled the charge, you went where you went, piled in exactly how you had to pile in with no real skill expression in there. But now, especially with consolidate and the terrain pieces, and there is no center of the terrain piece. Like once you kill a unit, if you kill them on a terrain feature and there's nothing else you can get within engagement range of, you can just hop behind a wall. You just have like a 3-inch move at your discretion. And I think there is a huge amount of agency in that that can be wielded by a savvy general extremely well. I think
will save some models.
It's one of the new playgrounds. It's one of the new playground like mini games of the edition. Like how can I charge in the angle to cut to get my consolidate to the place I want to go, to be out of line of sight, in line of sight, getting an angle, not getting an angle. It's going to be really fun to see people try and squeeze as much juice as they can out of that little 3-inch move.
Number 1, drum roll, the charge roll.
Yes.
Best change in the new edition because you're no longer just stuck.
Yes.
I mean, you might be if you roll low, you can't reach anything, but you now have the world is your oyster when you're set in a saturated target environment, which I like.
So there's so many wild things you can do because you can roll the dice, have made the charge, and then still decide not to. Like you could be like, well, I have this unit within 4 inches, I have this unit within 9 inches, and this unit within 12 inches. I actually want to hit the one within 9, and I don't want to go into the one within 4, but I'd love to be able to go to the one within 12. So I'm just going to roll it. I rolled a 5. I'm not going near that one 4 inches away. It's going to kill me. I'd rather make them spend the 2 CP or something. And so I'm just going to sit here and be in the way. And you're talking
about heroic intervention, the one that second mode of heroic intervention.
So I think the charge roll is going to be once again such a playground for generals. It's going to be a place where there's so much skill expression, opportunistic stuff as well, exciting stuff. Like there are so many times where I just would not roll a charge. Like with a whole army in a whole game of 40k, I would not roll a charge. Tau players are going to rip charges. They're just going to be like, I hit a 12, baby. I'll take that home objective. Why not? You're just going to do so much more fun stuff with your charge roll. It's not going to be, like I said, on rails. I think if maybe you guys will agree or disagree, but I think the 10th edition charge rules were the most restrictive that I've ever experienced in the game. Since I've been playing since 4th edition. Well, I can remember playing since 4th edition.
There have been, I think there's been like a time in 7th or 6th or 7th where it was more restrictive.
Fair enough.
I think that was the one where you just like had to go one direction or something like that.
Had to be like closest to closest. But yeah,
I remember 8th edition just being like absolutely wild though. Like gene stealers ripping across the board and just touching everything,
spreading out all over the place.
So we don't want that. For those of you who forget that, you'd have a unit of 20 gene stealers that could fight 3 times, pile and consolidate and fight 3 times. And all that meant is that you declared your charge, and one model had to get base con. That's all it said, and you had to end in coherency. And so you'd have a unit here. You go one guy here, and then the other 19 dudes would go at a right angle that way. It made no sense whatsoever.
I love this new change, the charge roll. It feels, I play an assault-based army, but like you were saying, even like with Tau and other things, you might just use it for movement or not use it at all. And which is,
I think you're exactly right, because you can use it for movement. It can be an opportunistic role that you can decide to take if you like the value and where you go. I think it just opens up the charge role to being used by more armies. It used to be that, like I said, I would play whole guard games. I'd play whole guard 6-round GTs where I didn't roll a charge because Bulgren were too expensive at the time, for example. And I've played whole editions of guard where I didn't roll a charge. And now I feel like charging 10 guardsmen to see if I rip a 12 and flip an opportunistic primary, or reach for a secondary card by getting into outflank position or behind enemy lines. Before, that was a suicidal no point proposition. Now just do it, because why not? And you might make some magic happen and something really cool could occur in your game.
Love it. Well, look, that's the top 5 definitive list of the best changes in the 11th edition. We're going to take a quick break. I'll come back with another segment. Hold tight. See you in a minute.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 here of the show. If you're just tuning in and finding this one, we do sit this on YouTube a day later than we did the other part, which was the top 5 best things about the new edition. And anyway, if you listen to the podcast, it just ran right into this. And so here we are. Welcome back after the break. Check out our sponsors, especially if you're trying to get ready for some pre-order stuff that's coming up. That is one way to secure that you're going to get what you're looking for. And we would love it if you shout our sponsor, Gal Games, for that pre-order of anything you got going on game related. But there's some amazing stuff coming out that we've been talking about. And while you're getting ready for the new stuff, you might be looking at some new paint strategies. So wanting to do a finishing move segment, a hobby segment, as we transition out of this period of 10th. And I know I've got some stuff on my desk getting ready for what I hope is to come.
Yeah, I am working on a centerpiece model for my guard army. It's actually like myself as an Ursula Creed proxy.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, and she's made out of Severina Rain, because I was like, she's Legends now. I'm not really going to bring her. So I had a friend kit bash her, and then I'm painting her. So, but I wanted, of course, I'm like, it would be great if I painted it white. That'd be great if she was in like white dress uniforms. Who does that?
Staying down on the battlefield, right?
Yeah. But the thing is that I always find that white is really difficult to work with pure white paint. And I was like, how am I going to get around this? Well, I had an inspirational artwork piece that I was working off of. And I was like, you know what? I don't really know what to do. I'm going to put it into my photo editing software, and I'm going to use the dropper tool to see what colors they actually use. Because when you're looking at a piece of artwork, it is sometimes like a little bit like an optical illusion. You think that you're looking at, in this case, white, but surprise, surprise, there was no white on that picture at all. So I used the dropper tool to actually select the highlights. I actually selected the highlights, the shadows, and just like the regular base color. And that's how I selected my colors. And let me tell you, this is game changing for me. This is the best white I've ever painted, and I didn't use white paint.
So what makes it the best?
And the best is that it's not like chunky and chalky like white paint tends to look, because it's really brown based. I didn't even use white to mix any highlights. It's just mostly browns, but the way that the eyedropper told me to do it, it looks white.
Is it optical illusion? Is it like
I think so. I think it is an optical illusion based off like what's around and all of that. So the steps to do it is find your inspirational artwork. Maybe it's even like a piece that a really amazing painter has painted, because you know they're probably already on all this color theory stuff that the rest of us plebs don't really know that well. And then so you can take that and you put it into any editing software. There's free ones online if you don't have Photoshop
there's probably an
or
app
anything
on a
like
phone or
that.
something?
Honestly, I think Canva has this tool as well, which is free and browser based. So you put your photo in there, and then with the dropper tool, you can basically like explore what color is in the shadow, what's the main kind of colors that make up this piece, and what is the highlight color. And then from there, you can go to your collection and kind of pull out the things that match that. It takes the guesswork out of what color am I using as a highlight. It might be something completely different that you never considered. Like
I like
you said
that.
the other day, that you highlight green a lot of times with like a bone kind of color.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it would help you to explore other options and then find something that you
No, I
like
like
better
it.
than.
I mean, especially we get into this routine. Like all my leather pouches basically look the same, and I had to like force myself to find some other way to do leather sometimes. So it looked like my armies may have shopped at different, pouch stores. And in this, like getting like taking the guesswork out, like this is going
Mhm.
to look good. This is going to look like how I want it to look. That's a cool way of doing that,
Yeah.
because it's so
So
hard to get there sometimes. It's so hard to get from your paint collection to the time you need to spend to paint the model to some different look there or whatever, something that is aspirational. And I think that's a cool idea. It's a really cool idea.
Right, and so for this white, I would have never approached it this way. And I didn't use any washes either. So I painted all of the bits
I'm
that were
out.
going to be that were going to be white. I painted them with a kind of light umber kind of color, like a neutral light brown. And then I did almost like a Bane blade brown
Yeah. On the brand you're
equivalent.
talking about.
Yeah, and then I have this color, and it's like a very light, warm gray on top, and it looks white. My mind is blown. I am shooketh.
It's like
It
that
looks.
dress. Is it the blue or the?
Yeah, is it blue or is it
Yeah.
gold or whatever? Yeah, yeah. And like I said, every photo editing software that you use is going to have that tool. So
Oh, good. That's a good tip, especially as
yeah.
we get into, let's say this new edition is prompting people to bring some of their older armies on. Let's say you're
Okay.
trying to match an old color scheme that maybe you have forgotten.
And you didn't keep it in your painting diary.
Which is step one. Forget to use the painting journal. The
Right.
recipe book. My recipe book is right next to my hobby desk.
It's right there
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
And I try to give myself discipline, but maybe you're breaking an army off the shelf from a previous edition, and it's been a few years since you've done it. I think that's a cool way.
Yeah, you take a little picture of your miniature, put it into Canva or Photoshop if you have that. Grab that dropper tool.
There we go. So I know we talked about the 5 best changes, and now we just talked about how to maybe approach painting a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit about an army, at least one army. Well, we can talk about 2 armies. I think Chaos Knight's gonna rock.
Adam, this is your forte.
Oh, hi, I'm here too. Hello.
Yeah.
So yeah, that whole army rule that didn't do nothing for time. Looking pretty good all of a sudden. I have some ideas. I have some aspirations. Now a lot of things to be confirmed, like how many detachments different things are. But there's a general assumption that your best detachment, the best detachment you can think of from the edition that was, is likely to be the one that's generally been the consensus among the community, like your Gladius Task Force, your Blades of Ultramar, stuff like that. That's generally been the consensus. So I've been cooking down in some of the the Chaos Knight mines of untakeable detachments, trying to find some juice.
Untakeable detachments.
I think I found some juice. So the Hellhunt Lance, which came out in a recent publication, I think it was the Master in the Maelstrom publication book, because we know those ones are definitely not going away. We're keeping some of the digital ones, we're losing some of the digital ones, but so I know this one isn't going away. The Hellhunt Lance. This one is all about your big knights getting the auras they give out. If they give it out to 2 war dogs, if you give it to 2 war dogs, it mirrors it back to it. But it also gives an enhancement for an abominant. That's the psychic brainy guy. Totally not a Maleceptor, but in a knight, to make any knight within 9 force a battle shock test after it's hit something. This little enhancement doesn't say it needs line of sight. And you can put a lot of top hats within 9 of a big knight. So the idea is I'm gonna pick like extra minus to leadership as my thing on the table.
Yeah, on the dread table.
I'm going to yeet out a carnivore right into your lines, and then I'm going to bubble up 4 or 5 top hat war dogs.
You're talking about the missile launchers that go on the back.
The Havoc launchers.
Yeah, Havoc launchers. But they fire indirect. They have indirect from the knights.
So they hit on 6s. Now we know this. They hit on 6s if you can't see your target. But if something in your army can see your target, they hit on 4s. And all I need is 1 Havoc launcher to hit, and I make that target take a -2 battle shot. And, we'll see if battle shock matters, guys. I'm all in, baby.
For science.
For science.
That's
either going to do
so
nothing.
Even like the Traitorous Lance. What is it? It lets you pick 2 things. So
yeah, the Traitorous Lance. You start with an extra 1 act actually.
Yeah.
So you start juicing up on the table. If you can make battle shocks matter, that table is good. If your opponent actually fails battle shocks, I don't think there's any other army that will punish them more than Chaos Knights, because Chaos Knights will keep you battle shocked, because you can put out an aura of 12 inches for -2 to your leaderships. And I got to tell you, even custodies with leadership 5s and 6s and stuff across the army at a minimum, they're still failing 2/3 of the time on a -2. So that's pretty spicy. I like it quite a lot.
Been dabbling around with the Chaos Knight builds myself, just seeing what's out there, because you look, there's these, like, I think you hit it on the head earlier. There's these rules that certain armies have. Heck, even like Reavers, from the Space Marine list.
You're such a Reaver stan, Paul.
Well, they look cool, but you've never seen one on the table.
No.
Right?
No.
I mean, maybe one time when that grappling gun was cool for like 10 minutes or whatever. But this is an opportunity to go back and look through some of those data cards and see if there's something that jumps out at you that might be fun to play.
So stuff like the Nightmare Hunt from Chaos Space Marines, that was fantastic thematic rules that didn't amount to enough. They just did not amount to enough, because your opponent would unbattle shock themselves, would auto pass, or would do some other mechanics. But now you don't, like, if I just kill your transport and you're in it, you may be battle shocked the rest of the game. Terrifying prospect. Terrifying. In fact, it's one of the reasons I'm worried about dedicated transports. It might be the case that moving forward, it's like 1 or 2 transports instead of 4 or 5, 6 that we've seen this edition.
I think you've got a plan to get out quick.
I think you have to have a plan for the unit, or you're just putting stuff in there you don't care about, which is why I keep talking about Catachan in a Taurox. And you're like, oh no, you trapped my 10 boys. I don't care, whatever. I got 10 more, and I got 10 more after that, 10 more after that. I don't give a crap. So just put less important stuff in your transport. A good way to start it. Or if you've got a transport, make it a big, chunky, durable one, like a hecaton, something like that.
Look, you brought up Gar. We can talk about Gar for a second. I think that those hippogriffs are going to be very important.
I like a lot of what I'm seeing for guard, except for apart from the transports. Transports we're gonna have to go to the drawing board on
Hippogriffs
that
don't
one.
transport people. They shoot things and then they move.
Yes. I think move, shoot, move is going to be one of the premium abilities of this edition. You go into hidden range, hurt them a little, come out of hidden range. You're on the terrain feature, just a tire, just put one tire on the terrain feature, shoot a little bit, get off the terrain feature. I think these move, shoot, move mechanics are one of the best.
I mean, depending on how the points work out, but I think that they're small enough, they fit in a lot of those. I think we were calling them, like tank pockets.
Yes, tank pockets. I think this is a good term, because there's now staging points and tank pockets. They're two different things, and you will know them when you see them on the table. Yeah. You'll start to identify them.
And then these, I mean, granted, they are a new unit, but they're also small, and they've got a decent gun on them. It's not like it's not a world-ending gun, but there's you take 2 or 3 of them, and there seems to be enough to be able to like maybe get 2 or 3 turns of pressure before the opponents figure out how to deal with it.
In the previous segment, I talked a lot about the skirmish battle mattering a lot more. In the current edition, as it sits right now, turn 1 and turn 2, you send out your 1 skirmish unit to go and disrupt your opponent's expansion objective. That's it. That's the skirmish battle. And then they send out a unit to kill your thing, and then they send out a skirmish unit to go flip your expansion and hopefully score a card on the way. That's literally the straight up and down play pattern of 10th edition. But what if you had to do that with 3 units every time? Because we have a primary system that usually has 2 to 3 things to do to score points every turn. And then you can have like freaking a full grip, a full Magic the Gathering grip of secondary cards up in your hand at any one time. So the skirmish game doesn't become this little tempo of 1 unit. It's like, I have 3 good cards and 2 things I need to do on primary. I've got 3 good skirmish units. What do I prioritize scoring? How do I use them? Where do I go? And then you have things like the Hippogriff, who go out, do a little bit of damage, roll an opportunistic charge, go tap something, shut it down, be annoying, or just move, shoot, move, get into a tank pocket. I think they're really cool.
I also think the 8 exclusion, 8's the new 9. Is going to offer up even more opportunity for things like Scions and Cast are going to come in. It's going to be even more difficult to screen them out, and that's going to be something hard for people to contend with, I think, in the first few months of the game. The 8-inch exclusion.
It's a way bigger change than people think as well. Like massively different. And one of the sorry.
No, so that in the 2-inch, engagement range gap. Now, granted, you can move, you just can't end your move or whatever, but it will matter.
Yeah, you can move. So this is an interesting thing, because like jailing is gone, because you need to use so many units to jail your opponent because of the 9-inch coherency total. But you can just body block people off positions a little easier, because you can just stop, 2.1 away from the edge of a terrain feature, and then they have to charge you to get you off the piece. And so there's some interesting things you can do with bigger squads.
Especially if you're a knight, you have bigger bases, you're a greater and clean one, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly right. These kind of things actually have a bit of power here. But they also have the power to get stopped from getting on pieces. They're the only things I think you can try and stop getting onto terrain features now. Of course, not that big, massive middle one. No freaking shit. So you don't even bother trying. It's going to cost you. You're going to bleed out your whole lot.
That's going to be a battle. Like with Hirokin,
that's what we want.
What it is. Yeah,
that's what we want. There are so many situations in the game where if one player couldn't hold their objectives in the matchup, and one player couldn't lose their objectives in where, like, you played against Recon Guard and they went first, and you're like, guess I'm never holding any primary this game. Full stop. Like, that's it. There was no way for you to hold primary. And then the inverse was correct, where you played against knights sometimes and you didn't bring the right hammer for that knight. And they're like, I guess I can never get you off your expansion. So I need to just draw better cards than you and pray. Which, that's a place we're going to end up here as well. But I'm excited that you have more dynamic and more things to do every time in the game.
Yeah, digging it. I know we jumped around a lot there, but Chaos Knights have been, again, I think it really, like, look into the data slates with a fresh pair of eyes. To see if there's something cool. Of course, we don't know how the points are going to work out. We know there's detachments and that kind of stuff, but that's what I've been kind of looking at, is just getting me excited about playing with some maybe models I haven't put on the table in a little while.
I think there's a lot of Imperial Knight stuff that needs a read. All the War Dogs, I think, just got better. Every single War Dog, I think. the Gatling guns on like the stalkers and stuff, which were only AP1 before, and so you would shoot them into somebody in cover, and they're essentially AP0. AP1's good. Like AP1 is, I'm not going to say AP1's great, but AP1 is not negligible anymore.
Well,
it's not a joke.
If you can navigate the -1 to hit, then your AP1 is awesome. And so there's like another problem to solve there. But
yeah, so brigands ignore cover when targeting units on objectives.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, 60% of No Man's Land is a gosh diggity darn objective now because of the size of the terrain pieces. That seems like a good ability.
Yeah,
you know, that's good. Yeah,
yep, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, look, that's going to be our show this week. I'm very excited. We got more 11th content coming. We got more. Granted, we're not done with 10th yet. There's stuff coming, but I know we're all really excited about playing in games and events. I'm going to be playing in the ATC, which should be 11th.
I've got a teams event. I'm playing in the last gasps of 10th, the week of the box hits the shelf. So that's going to be exciting.
I'm running a 130-person narrative event for 10th edition as well. So it's going to be my last hoorah.
Dang, we're all taking a big swing right at the end of the edition. Well done to all of us.
Ready to do it. All right, everybody. Thanks for your patience with us while we've been doing some of these other things, and we are back at this. Going to keep it going. We'll see y'all soon, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Spec scan is clear. I think they're gone. For now.